Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗏𝗙𝗏 Guru's channel. I'm your host 𝗏𝙭𝗏. Joining me today is Major General Rajiv Narayanan, and we're going to be talking about a new topic. Nobody has touched this before. It's explosive. You will love this thing, and it's please like this video even before we start, because I want as many people to watch it as possible. And let's now welcome General Rajiv Narayanan. General Rajiv Narayanan, namaskar and welcome to 𝗏𝗙𝗏 Guru's channel. Sir, how are you?
Namaskaram, sir. Always a pleasure to be on your channel. Thank you for calling me again. And yes, DJT is not grandstanding. So I'll just explain. Some people feel he's grandstanding. Like he does in negotiations, you push the envelope and then you decide. But on these 2-3 issues, like I will touch on Canada also. It's not for nothing that he is pushing for Canada to be his province. So if we can get up the slideshow, I will explain.
Yes.
So that's why I'm taking the second part first. Greenland I have clubbed with Canada, and then we go to Panama Canal. There are some things interesting there in Panama Canal which people need to know. So we first touch the Greenland and Canada, and they are critical for the Arctic Sea route. People should remember the Chinese had a few years ago mentioned the Arctic Silk Route. And what happened? The moment the Chinese opened up, initially, where is Murmansk? This area near is Murmansk. Between these 3 places, this is Murmansk. Murmansk, though in the tundras, for Russia, it's a 24/7, 365 days open port. It never ever freezes. People should know that you live on this earth and everything survives on the earth because of the ocean currents. The day the ocean currents stop, oxygen will not be there, we'll all die. So the spinning of the earth is giving you the ocean currents, and one of the most important ones and the biggest ones is the Gulf Stream. It starts from the Antarctic, goes up to the Arctic and comes back. So in its journey up north, it becomes warm and it comes to the area of Murmansk and then turns back. And that is the reason why that is one port, the only port in this complete arc that I've showed you, which is open 24/7. So, like I said, the moment the Chinese said that they Arctic Sea Silk Route, Russia just expanded. There are 19 military bases today from 2, and I think 4 or 5 civilian bases which can be utilized as military bases. This is the kind of militarization that they have done. What you see here is the Arctic Sea, and bulk of it, the landmass, is with Russia to the south. Now look at the criticality. US has only Alaska. Now you look at the criticality of Canada and Greenland, and then you understand why Trump said that. If he takes on Canada and takes on Greenland, he'll be able to match to a large extent what the Russians have done to the south side. So this area where it is written Lomonosov Bridge, this is the area of the North Pole. This is the frozen area which they have not shown. This is generally the area of the North Pole. So south of the North Pole, the Russians have it. North, as you see it, then the Americans will have it. This is the strategic importance, because, like it or not, climate change is there and Arctic Sea is melting. So this is the backdrop. It is not for nothing. Canada may be having ants and pants and Greenland may be having ants and pants. They don't realize the importance because they have not done. The only base that they have, something that they have put, is in Norway. That's it. Otherwise, it is all there's one base the Americans have. The rest is hardly anything. The only base that the Americans have in Greenland is the tracking base for the ABMs, the anti-ballistic missile shield. That's the only base they have. Here he has aviation base, naval base, marine base. He's dropped a reconnaissance base. You name it, everything is there. And I'm just showing you the map where everything is available. This is the kind of militarization over the last couple of years, ever since the Chinese opened up and said the Arctic Silk Route. Russia was worried that they will come and occupy something, so they militarized it, and giving a challenge to the Chinese that you want anything, handsome, come and talk to me. I'm the only one there. So when he talks about it, people should keep this in the back of the mind, that the game being played is for the Arctic Sea link. And that why? Because that will be the shortest link from Asia to Europe.
Yes, yes.
The people always look in terms of straight lines. Well, it looks shorter on the atlas. Normally it is not, because atlas is 2D. You're 3D. So the moment you come closer towards the equator, the earth is more bulged there. You travel more. You travel more. The moment you keep going north, you travel less. Even today, if you look at the flight charts and flight routes of most aircrafts which fly from, say, Asia towards US, they don't just fly straight over the Atlantic. It has got nothing to do with flying over Atlantic Sea. It's the shortest route to save fuel. You will find it curved from the north and then coming in. So this is going to be the shortest route. Now we look at the main thing which is bothering them, the Panama Canal. There is a rise of PRC's influence in Latin America. And the biggest concern, why is it Panama Canal? The biggest user of Panama Canal by a mile is US. It's not just their international maritime trade which goes from the west coast. It is also the trade link between the west and the east coast. So they are the biggest users, and let us delve into it. This is what is the Panama Canal, running from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific or vice versa. Most important is this Gatun Lakes, which has been built because of this dam. They had to dam this river to create this Gatun Lake. Gatun Lake is an artificial lake. A brief history about this Panama Canal. Early 1900s it was made. People may not know, Panama used to be a province of Colombia.
Yes.
So not an independent state. The Americans pushed Colombia for making this, to make it easy for them. Otherwise, just imagine, they have to go all the way down across the Magallanes Strait, that is south of Argentina, and then come up all the way up Latin America to them. And this is just 51 miles, 82 kilometers. So it would save them a lot of time. Colombians refused. So they played a game with the Colombians, and they motivated the Panamanians. And very interesting, there was a Frenchman who was there, I won't name him, and he motivated them. And of course, gunboat diplomacy. The American warships are on both sides, and Panama declared independence. The Americans immediately recognized them, and it was a Frenchman, but he was the first US ambassador to Panama, a Frenchman, not even an American. He'd come from France all the way. French initially tried it, thanks to that Frenchman, but they failed, and then the Americans made this, and they had a deal with Panama. With Colombia, they were going to do a 100-year deal only. But with Panama, finally, the deal was in perpetuity. And the Americans used to run it. The Panamanians didn't like it that we took independence, and it festered on till Jimmy Carter in 77 gave it back to them. Then we come to the last couple of years which have passed by, where Panama was very badly hit by the El Nino effect, acute water shortage. And this Gatun Lake and that dam, they provide the electricity and the water for the people around. And the dam, the water level started going down, and they found that they had to cut down the draft of the ship type of ships that could go. I'll show you what is the maximum size that can go through Panama Canal also later in my slide. And the waiting period became very long. And that is when they reopened this, which they wanted to do it and should have been finished in 2014, of how to create a new channel, new locks, and retain water in those locks so that it is not wasted out, and then reuse that same water so that after initial use this fills up, then you don't need the water of the Gatun Lake, and then you can keep reusing this and recycling it. Nobody gave them money. They didn't have money. I'm sure if the Americans were so keen, they should have given the money. Nobody gave the money. And after that El Nino effect, the Chinese gave it. And this is what the water saving measures and everything that has been done. And there is presence of PRC there. And when you say PRC, it means PLA. Thank you very much. When they go out, they're all they're all under the PLA. So this is the water saving basins that I was talking about, that the water comes here and then you keep recycling. So initial lot, the water comes there, and they have created locks in the side. They have made it bigger so that a bigger ship and a smaller ship, two of them can be taken out so that the time gets shortened. Concurrently, along with this, now look at the size that you have. The initial one was 39.5. They have maximum gone up to about 49.5. Suez Canal is 66 and Straits of Malacca is 82. Suez Canal, the advantage is why they can go more and draft and everything is that the difference in the MSL of the Mediterranean and the Red Sea is not as much as there is between Atlantic and Pacific. That's why you need 3 locks. When you're coming from the Pacific to the Atlantic, Pacific is lower, Atlantic is higher. You require those locks to lift you up and take you out. Malacca has no problem. It's a single strait which goes through. So all these 2 ships, Suezmax, Panamax, VLCC, they can't go through Panama Canal. So if any one of them is feeding the west coast, it has to go all the way south. So to overcome that, the Chinese have been working on a lot of problems. This is also part of this thing. Now, these are the various canals across the isthmus in Nicaragua. Now, most are working towards the Nicaragua lake because that's a natural lake. It's not going to be a man-made lake. But the problem is it is almost about 270 kilometers long. Where Panama across the isthmus is essentially 82 kilometers long, across Nicaragua is going to be 270 kilometers long, and they would have they're planning on extensive draft also, that is up to 91 feet, but it's very expensive. More and more they are leaning towards this northern line, but funding is going to be a problem, and I don't think China has that kind of money. So to overcome that, they came to Colombia. See, this is Colombia.
These guys are relentless, General Ravi.
So
these guys are relentless.
This is the same proposal. I would say they have taken it up, what they did towards the Kra Canal for Thailand, because Thailand was not keen on the Kra Canal through the Kra Isthmus, connecting the Thailand Sea to the Andaman Sea. So they have said, okay, railway line with dedicated freight will carry the containers from one end to the other end. Similar, they are planning here from Uraba to Cupica. that the ships come here, they unload their containers, dedicated freight corridor comes here, and from Kupika they go by sea. It is this that has irritated Donald Trump, that the State Department is not working as much, and that they need to be at least controlling this area, the Panama Canal, because they are the ones who are maximum affected. And because of all the work that has been done, when the Chinese fund, the interest rates are very high. I'm not surprised that the rates for crossing the Panama Canal have gone through the roof, because it's the Chinese funded, and they are going to squeeze every drop of money that you can. And that has also angered them. So that is the reason why he is shouting to go to Panama Canal and take over the Panama Canal, which he feels is the first step, if he can. And the threat of attack. See, the Panama Canal was also made by a threat of attack to Colombia. So this is gunboat diplomacy, and he has threatened Panama. These small countries, Nicaragua, Colombia, Panama, they can do nothing to the Americans. They'll just walk over them. So, and they did in 80. I think 80 or 81, they had walked into Panama. So that they want, they will take it. And Greenland, of course, Trump Jr. has gone there. They are questioning the control of Denmark on Greenland. And there's a point in that, if I remember, I think around 1970s or 1980s, the point was given that Greenland people who are there, very few live there, through a referendum can ask for independence.
Yeah, secede. Yeah.
They can be independent. I think in the first step, he'll make them secede and then take over. I wonder why he's talking of taking over. If you talk so much about NATO, under the umbrella of NATO, get them all under NATO and start controlling them, which shows that he doesn't have as much faith on NATO delivering. So does he know something that we don't know? Is NATO collapsing? Otherwise, Canada is part of NATO, Greenland is part of NATO. You already have a missile base out there. What stops you in creating some more? You already have how much? Close to 120 proper bases and about 700 odd lily pads everywhere. What stops you in creating some more out there? So it means that he doesn't have faith on EU, he doesn't have faith in Europe, he doesn't have faith in NATO. And that is why he wants it with himself that he can control.
General Rajiv, just to ask one question I have, but before that, viewers, I hope you have liked this video. I'd like to see 10 times more people watching this video because of the content that General Rajiv has put together. Look, how many people have been talking about this? Now, 3-4 days now, all these things have been mentioned. But did you see any mainstream program look at and show the other option? Because Chinese, they knew that if they go and attack Panama alone, that there will be other things. So they're already planning plan B, plan C. In fact, plan C, CA, CB, CC. Because in Nicaragua, they have 3. So, I mean, my 2 cents, General Rajiv, is that Trump believes that if it is United States, it's a single point of execution. The command and control happens from one place. Coordination is faster. Now, if you go to NATO, right, NATO will say, I have to have a say. Remember, it took about 24 months before Turkey would allow Sweden to join. And what kind of concessions they extracted, right? So he says, nah, I don't want to deal with all that stuff. I'll go straight to the source, which is the Greenlanders. Say, do you want to join us? So this is, I think, a very smart move on his part. Also, sometimes what happens, General Rajiv, this is my perception. You just saw what happened on the vote that went down in the United Kingdom about moving against the grooming gangs.
Just imagine, right? They voted against it.
Yeah. But they are not alone. The Democrats voted against acting against the illegal immigrants in the country who have committed sex crimes. They also voted it down, except that the majority was still, with Republicans, so that thing carried through. So this is just
Here, what
so UK
amazes
has
me,
done.
what amazes me in UK is 1:3 ratio.
Yeah. This is a monster of a majority they have. Yeah.
And the temerity of the PM to issue a whip to vote against, because his ass himself is on fire. Pardon my statement, but
he was a crown prosecutor, and for the longest time he tried to keep it under a lid. Again, P Guru's reported it about a week ago that this guy is what they are gunning for. I mean, he will lose his job. Now, I thought Rishi Sunak did some things, but he couldn't do a lot of stuff, because he was trying to get this Rwanda program going. Rwanda is a dirt poor country. They wanted some money. They were willing to take these criminals and take them into their system, and in exchange for money, of course. And even that, these liberandos would not have it. Pardon my French. So UK is messed up beyond redemption, I think. You have that famous phrase in what is it in army parlance, FUBAR, FOOBAR. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's an American military parlance. Beyond all redemption. You know what FO means. So we are now looking at Trump. Again, interestingly, Trump has tried to put everything in one bill because he knows that if you try to split it, they'll just tire him down. So he's like, I am on the clock. I'm in a hurry. I want all these things done. Because even if assuming that all these things fall in place, Canada may not be that important at this point of time as much as Panama and Greenland. Especially Greenland. Greenland is really very, very, very critical.
It has so much of mineral resources, and rare earth also is available there. So the dependencies on China will reduce a lot. That is the other advantage of Greenland.
Right. General Rajiv, I don't know if you have Netflix or not, but there is one Netflix series called Borgen, BORGEN, that talks about Danish politics, especially this friction between Greenland and Denmark, how Greenland always feels like Denmark isn't really, looking at them, they're not respecting them, and so on and so forth. So it's a very good thing. Viewers, this is the best time to watch Netflix series, if you ask me, especially those of us who are watching politics of various countries. There's one on Norway, there's one on Denmark. These are all, we don't even think of them as democracies. What are the kind of tensions, pulls and pressures they have? There are a couple of them on UK. There's one even on Australia called Secret City. I found it very interesting, and that is the interplay between US and Australia. There's another one called The Diplomat, interplay between US and UK. And in fact, Diplomat is something it's a must see. Have you seen that one, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 seasons, fantastic. Kerry Russell is just mind-blowing the way she has acted in that series, and it's still continuing, by the way. So these are all, so those of us who've been watching these things have seen where things are headed, and now you are seeing president comes along, and he's clearly having some very good foreign office advisors, foreign policy advisors, and he's saying, okay, I'm not going to wait till the 20th to do all this. I am moving now. So General Rajiv, the bill is, the bill wants to address illegal immigration. It wants to address the taxation structure of United States, and it also wants to put tariffs. So it's not good news for the new incoming Prime Minister in Canada. That person's first challenge would be, what do I do? And many Canadians are saying, sir, I'll yield the floor. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just saying, as far as 𝗶𝗏 is concerned, he is more of the same thing. Maybe a lesser version of Trudeau, otherwise he's in the same boat.
So all these things he's planning to get it in one bill, And there are many people within Republican Party that don't want this to pass, because they are again beholden to somebody. It could be X, Y, or Z. We don't know. I mean, it's the truth now, because the deep state is no longer doing it in hide and seek. It's doing it open now. They don't even care. So there is another new thing that is going on. People have caught on video arsonists setting their house on fire because they're just outside this growing fire in LA area, Pacific Palisades. Now, LA area, Pacific Palisades is burnt quite a bit. Bel Air, which is where most of the glitterati of Hollywood live, that's also damaged severely. Malibu, another place where they live, again, that is now getting into trouble. Hollywood itself, that's an exclusive area, that's also in trouble. So it's a royal mess. And somebody has actually shared on social media, they're actually physically setting fire to their own home.
There is a talk on X which has been shared to me also from people from the West Coast, who say that they suspect that this entire fire itself could be, there is something more to it, because especially Palisades area, most of the insurance companies stopped the cover for houses burnt by fire just 3 months ago, and you have fire, and which is destroying.
We will teach you a lesson for not taking fire insurance.
No, they refused it. They cancelled all their insurance, and they don't have water. They're telling, which I was watching on CNN or BBC, I think BBC, that the fire hydrants there were dependent on tankers. There is no piped water supply to the fire hydrants. And they've run out of water. Their fire engines have run out of water. That is amazing. That is something. Oh, they are talking like a third world country.
General Rajiv, the liberals in California went amok from the hippie age, 60s, late 60s onwards. You know, they said they banned offshore drilling. California is sitting on large deposits of crude just outside on the offshore in Pacific. They banned that. Then in the name of saving the environment, what they said was that there is this one particular type of fish that needs to swim upstream so that it can lay its eggs. So for that, there is supposed to be a certain amount of water. So there is a river called the Klamath, K-L-A-M-A-T-H. Now, they can take that water.
The trouts go upstream to lay their eggs.
Yes, trouts. Right. So what they've done is they have really let the complete water of the Klamath River flow into the ocean, so that there is no damming, no nothing. The problem is that water could have come in very handy in tackling this fire. And he raised this 6 years ago. Even then there were some fires. But General Rajiv, I have a philosophical question. Why is the deep state resorting to scorched earth policy like this, sir?
It's not the deep state. I had explained earlier also, so I'll just explain to your people. The deep state is not a monolithic structure. The deep state emerges from the fall of the colonies. So the royalties of the West got together that how to manage their funds, which they had looted. Like, for example, Shashi Tharoor, in his famous Oxford debate, he said 45 trillion pounds. The 45 trillion pounds are not with the British. It's in the City of London. The City of London is not controlled by anybody else but the Royal House. That is the charter of the City of London. Even the Mayor of London cannot do anything out there. So that's a different story altogether for some other time. So you have the Crown Council, in which the around 54, 55, they realized that without the US they can't do. So the dynastic MNCs of the US also joined together. And two of the basic financiers who were also into various business. Rothschild family is a very famous family in the Europe. They have been the financiers for the royal houses since centuries. So they are part of that. And from the US, the Rockefeller, who at one time used to control all the oil and gas. Okay.
Standard
Oil.
Oil. Yeah.
So they broke it up, and all these other companies are still controlled by them. They have controlling stakes. But when in 34 Roosevelt had brought that act against a single party controlling everything. So that is how it is. And they have a committee. So the royalties don't talk. So they have a committee of their loyal people who work with them. You can say they're aristocrats, so to say, to coin the phrase. Now, below that is the executive who ensures what is done, and that is the round table, which is where sits George Soros, Obamas, Clintons, Pelosi's, all these gangs sit there. They have a Tavistock Institute. It has a very interesting history. It was started as a Tavistock clinic for psychiatry because they realized after the First World War, it was opened in 1921, that a lot of people were mentally damaged. The post-trauma that you have. So they started working on a very different way of how to change the thinking of the person to get him out of this psychiatric problem, which these people felt is very good to control the people's narrative. So post Second World War, Tavistock Clinic joined the National Health Service of UK, and how presto, in the city of London comes the Tavistock Institute. So they are the people who create narratives. You get feedbacks from all over the world. What is the kind of people, what they think, what they do, and they create the narratives, and they identify people, bring them up, give them the speeches. Like Obama was given, if you read his speeches, beautiful speech, very well crafted, but whatever he spoke, nothing was delivered. Exactly the opposite.
People found out that if you take away the teleprompter, this guy could not even put two sentences together.
Yeah.
This we are talking about even before he ran for president.
So that is how he was built up. Okay. So that is the manner in which they were controlling, and in that they use, and you have the hedge funds like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, like that. They have about around 12 to 15 hedge funds, international hedge funds, who control their funds. The task of the round table is to ensure that the royalties funds don't sink, and to make sure that each doesn't act against the other. There is an intricate web of cross investment. So like I said, you have the round table, you have the Tavistock Institute. Now you need a feedback system of how, what they're doing, and then I'll give you the arms also. So that is the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome was established in 68. Just imagine all the colonies, most of the colonies finished in the 60s. So the Club of Rome was formed in 58. The main conference that takes place when US was brought in was Bilderberg Conference, which takes place annually in May, and that was established in 54 when they realized they couldn't do it without the Americans. And that's how the Americans came in. And then you have the Club of Rome. Every important country has, so do we have, its franchise. Just type Club of Rome India, you'll be surprised to see to all of it. So the Club of Rome also has important members of countries that are on board. From India, there used to be MMS and Jayati Ghosh. MMS has been removed. Jayati Ghosh is still there. Let's see when she goes. And Sohail Seth has been added in the list of additional members in Club of Rome India to represent. So it will be interesting when you look at it, who are the DG, the secretary, and all that. Very interesting. So it tells you how deep the nexus runs, and it's been running for decades. And so Tavistock gives the narrative. These people give a feedback to tell whether what they are doing is going on or what is not going on every place. And for them to execute that, You have your think tanks, your newspapers, your scholars, your political parties, your NGOs, you name it, your companies, everything are available to you. Okay. So that is the grid that they had given. And George Soros being ultra leftist, so he took on the Chinese were on the rise. They used to make a lot of money with the Chinese. So the top brass said okay, and they took radical Muslims to control the global south. Where it started falling apart. First comes Xi Jinping, who decides on the China dream, which is control of the globe by China. So which is a direct challenge to the Crown Council. So he became a no-no. And the next comes the hardline Muslims who post-COVID suddenly start talking about Sharia, global Sharia. That means they will rule the world as per their terms. So this round table had to go. So it's not for nothing that George Soros was first kicked out from Europe. Because after all, the Crown Council originally started from Europe. And it begins from Hungary, who kicks him out, and then all offices, everything in Europe, they have shut shop. Primarily because it was all okay if all these kinds of rioting and what the hardline Muslim was doing is okay, it was being done in global south. But this was done back home, their territory. And you had the rise of India. So they're looking towards India. And now comes Trump. But I'm looking beyond Trump. Who next? You have to be careful of who next. And because you got to work with. Certain people have shifted loyalties. J.D. Vance is one chap who shifted and come to the other side. So what you see today, which is damaging and scorched earth, is this old round table which is being kicked out from everywhere. Otherwise, till now, I think till before COVID, whatever George Soros did, there was a hint that he is doing. But look at it now. He's come out in the open and openly now challenging, like he challenged Modi.
Right.
Right? Why did he come out in the open? Because he knows it's an existential threat for this old round table. And the new round table is still forming. But there is a catch-22 that the Crown Council has. India is in the forefront to say that you will not loot the global south like you were doing before. You are the voice of global south. And quite a lot of countries in global south trust you. Okay. So that is one. Number two, you have strategic autonomy. You will not dictate to me directly that this is what you're going to do. You may give what you want. We have what we want. And then we will negotiate and give and take. So they will not like it that yesterday's colony is today going to dictate terms to me. The white man is never going to like it. That the browns and blacks are going to dictate to him what to do, what not to do. France has just yet not recovered from the kick out from West Africa. That's very damaging. 70% of the economy of West Africa, whatever they generated, used to be taken away by France. The uranium used to come from there. That's gone. They've said you negotiate and you'll pay. Look at what has happened to the French economy now. I'm not saying this is the only reason, but this adds to it. Though it's surprising they have not yet given a new currency for themselves. They're still CFA, currency Francois Africa. So France had given them franc as the currency. They controlled it. They shifted to euro. And they gave what is the exchange rate for CFA to euro? Almost about close to 300 euros. 300 CFA per euro for nothing. So the old style, that's why I say that they will wait to see the winner. So it's the old round table versus the emerging round table where the fight takes place, and it's not going to be easy because there's so many hands that were being fed, and that is where they are worried about you. What the NIA and the Home Ministry is doing is quietly taking away the foundations on which all this was based. See, even if you create a web, there is a foundational base that has been targeted. Once that is gone, the web collapses. And it's collapsing. The latest, like they have found out how the funding and what is happening and number of people which is coming from Kerala, the funding for hardline Muslims. Look at what is happening in UP. Look at what is happening in Bengal and all the other areas where people are getting caught to identify illegal migrants who are giving them Aadhaar cards and other things. So you are chipping away the foundations of the web. And it's not an easy battle. It will take more than 4 years. So that is why I say Trump, yes, he's going to do his job, but who next? You need that continuity because these people are going to throw money in the next elections to make sure that Republicans lose. Or you get Republicans on their side. It's people are there on all sides of the political party. It's not that one political party is against and the other political party. No. They've spread their largesse all around. So what you see emerging today is that battle. And I don't think EU will be able to retrieve it without tremendous internal struggle. They will be pitched battles. There's going to be a lot of internal disturbances in EU. I don't know how true it is. Somebody had shared the report, Norwegian report, which is not being taken out in mainstream media, that as of till October last year, till November last year, they had 189 bomb blast stroke IED blasts in Norway, just Norway.
Yes.
This is the kind what is going on out there. This is what is happening. And I'm not surprised that people in various countries, the white man is coming out on the street that I want my country back. And you have the rise of these people call them extreme right wing, I call them nationalist parties. But in France, the charismatic face is gone. Marine Le Pen, God bless her soul, is no more. So who's the next who's going to lead? AFD is gaining ground, and all these countries are facing tremendous problems financially and politically. Macron doesn't have the control of the parliament with him. Germany is the same thing.
He leans left, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Australia is the same thing. Look at what is happening in UK. So it is a major issue that is coming up, and maybe that's the reason Trump doesn't have any faith left in Europe and NATO, that these people can't deliver. They'll keep fighting their own problems. So let me take over Canada, let me take over Greenland, and I will take over Panama Canal also. Unless the Panamanians and the Chinese renegotiate and cut down the rates for the Americans, Panama is going to have a rough time. I feel more than Greenland and Canada, Panama will be his first strike. That is something which is doable for him. They have done it once before. So, interesting.
General Rajiv, I'm sorry, got your name wrong. General Rajiv, couple of things. There is a quote by a senator in the early 1900s. In the Senate, he's arguing because the newly formed country of Panama was not happy. So this guy is arguing, what more do they want? We have stolen them fair and square, right?
Yeah, of course. From a province, they became a country, thanks to the Americans.
Yes. And General Rajiv, one other challenge that Canada has, see, I thought it was around 1.07 Canadian dollars to US dollar. Somebody corrected me saying it's now 1.33. They have devalued the Canadian dollar by close to 25 to 30%.
The economy is
See,
gone.
so play this thing out, right? Now, what happens is the US dollar becomes the currency there, and the US cannot lower the prices of some goods in US so that the Canadian price will be more affordable. That's not going to happen. So suddenly, Canadians are going to find everything 30% more expensive. I'm not so sure, General Rajiv.
Yes, see, he has openly stated that. And his borders are, as said, as much as Mexico, we are worried about the people coming in from Canada also.
Yes.
So there are a whole lot of illegal migrants and gangsters. Because Canada today has become the hub of gangsters, terrorists, and drug peddlers. 18th is supposed to be the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 international conference where they're going to talk about spread of Sharia and Islam globally, and it's going to happen in Ontario.
Yeah.
Most of the world has declared them as a terrorist organization. Somehow Canada has not. Which world are they living in? Just because he thinks that a white man has given him space, can't he see the lesson of UK, what has happened? For is this the descent of depravity for vote bank politics?
Very true.
And they are the ones who are going to tell us that your democracy is not okay. Hello, good morning, smell the coffee. What's happening? And 18th, Minnesota.
Yes.
Ontario, Minnesota is going to be the international conference of 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪. So that is the problem with Canada. So that is the problem I have with Poilievre also. Handsome, have you stood up in the parliament? Have you taken to the streets against them? Have you brought in any bill to say that 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 has to be declared a terrorist? No. He is just taking political mileage of the problems faced by Trudeau. And he is not going to be any different. I have no faith in him. That is the reason why the Trump is also pushing that become the 51st state. Not for anything else. And they're going to feel the pinch. Trump is open. And he's going to punish them. The moment it goes up, he seals the border and the costs go up, people will start fleeing Canada.
Yeah.
But the good point is, go where? Go where? See, in one of my talks, I had said about that book, Paul Kennedy's book, Rise and Fall of the Empires. It's a very thick book, takes a while. People should study that book. Don't read it, study. In it, he talks of a 400-year cycle of nations and empires, that it lasts 400 years. And after 400 years, you decline. And then you start rising again. Europe has to realize that as per that book, your 400-year cycle has started. You started globally expanding and controlling around the 17th century, I would say. Yes, 15th, 16th, you started off. But 17th century onwards, you controlled the globe, and we have come to the 21st century. So your time of growth is gone. You are now in the decline phase. You try and do whatever. I don't think you will be able to manage. How much you will be able to manage is open to question. You may be a middling power somewhere, like a Thailand or Indonesia or Malaysia today. That's what that will be left of you. Because today you have got so much of contradiction within yourself, within your society. Like, okay, fine. UK, you say that Starmer has to go. So, well, the Conservatives will know it themselves know good. This has been going on for 40 years. Everybody has been playing vote bank politics. Who knew? Somebody somewhere was talking of some reform party. What is this? Who's this figure?
Yeah.
You don't have a figure. Fine. Starmer goes, then who? Who next? Will he do it? Both conservative and Labour. People are screaming at Labour because he's there today. Conservatives were there today, except for Rishi Sunak, who arrested 500 of them. Who else has done anything? Nobody has done anything.
Right.
Same is the case in France. Same is the case in Germany. Every country you take, who next? Who else? That's why I say that their web has spread across, cutting across party lines.
Yes.
We are lucky that we have a group of people here who didn't bite into that. And
very true.
They're free from that. But there are many within that party also whom I would not trust at the highest level. Though you don't know.
Very true, sir.
That is the web to be broken. So one term of Trump will not do that. So that is why I'm saying who next, who comes after him, who is to be that. He needs to be groomed. He is to be out of this web. He needs to be groomed. He needs to get a team which is out of this web. Then only he'll be able to work. It's not so simple and not so easy.
Very true, General Rajiv. And viewers, sir, with your permission, can we have some questions from our viewers?
Most welcome. Most welcome.
So let's just quickly go through them. Sanjay, thank you so much for your super sticker. Kamal Monga wants to know, how will Trump deal with Khalistanis from Canada if Canada is annexed?
Why will he deal with them? Your Atmanirbhar Bharat is a direct competition to MAGA. He will also, yes, he will make all the noises, but he will also need to have a handle with you. No? Just because Trump is coming, that doesn't mean it's all hunky-dory with America, okay? Just keep it at the back of your mind.
Ye alag, wo alag.
Your Atmanirbhar Bharat, you want everything here. Is MAGA, he wants everything there. So that's a direct competition.
Next one, please. AK wants to know, sir, why are we supporting this brazen move of USA? Isn't this colonization? How can we support this? Every country, small or big, deserves sovereignty.
You're right, AK. And that is why, after a lot of thought, I gave the term Akhand US. Because whenever our people, the extreme rightists, talk about Akhand Bharat, everybody's pants seem to be on fire. Do you see anyone talking about this? That's why I use the term Akhand USA. It is akin to that. I am very right. That's why I said that they are part of NATO. You could have done that. If you had, where there's a will, there's a way, but he wants to take over.
Thank you, sir. Next one, M. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No. Jiski lathi, uski bhais. That's what is the saying in Hindi, no?
MVH wants to know, if US forces Panama and world keeps quiet, will not China want to do the same to a dozen countries like Maldives and Pacific Islands, etc.?
Don't compare China to US. It's punching way above its weight. Himmat nahi hai usme. You can't do anything to Philippines and Thailand and even Vietnam and Taiwan. What are you talking about trying to do? Maldives has already come back. He's realized, he's licked your boots and everything. He's realized and has come to your party. And then the other side tried to say that we tried to overthrow the government. Their own foreign minister nixed that and said, nonsense. We have very good relations. So, Panama, dabab dal ke wo Panama Canal, if he takes it back also, who has the power? Let's face it. Yes, you may say that his power is not as much as it is declining. The amount of power that he has, no other country in the world has that. That's a fact. So let's not wish it away. If he says he'll take Panama Canal by force, you think anybody in Latin America can do it? Even if Chinese PLA is sitting it, they'll run away from there. He won't face them, yaar. हमसे फेस नहीं कर सका, मार के चला गया, 4 साल आंख दिखाए और अपना दुम दबा के भाग गया, and you think he's going to take over US? Forget it.
Next one, please. Hey, you wants to know, is the strategy of Trump to tariff Canada enough till their economy is in ruins and they would be desperate to join?
Could be. I really don't know whether it will succeed or not, what he will have to do. At the moment, the Canadians have not said yes. And if he's banking on Poilievre, he has also not said yes. He is not interested in the Pacific side of Canada, like I showed you the map. He is looking at the Atlantic and mainly the Arctic side of Canada. That is what he's interested in more.
Next one, please. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗦𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗦 Batra wants to know, General Sir, if George Soros was kicked out of the council, was he given consolation prize by Biden?
He was never part of the council. He was part of the round table. भाई साहब ये जॉनी कम लेटलीज है ना, ये नहीं आते, ये खानदानी है in the Crown Council who have been there as the royalty for centuries. Who is George Soros? George Soros was there in the round table. Biden gave him that because he wants to play both sides. Maybe he didn't get what he wanted when he discussed with Trump about his son. What can be done to the son. So he thumbed a nose at him. He forgave his son and he gave this medal to. And people would have not forgotten who in the meme George Soros was. Take your mind back to Star Wars.
Next one, please. Pseudo-scientist wants to know, I'd be concerned about tariffs if I was India. Why hasn't Trump mentioned India?
He needs you and they need your markets. If you think the American economy is hunky-dory, think again. See, a large economy like the Americans, even if they grow by anything, you prefer growth rate around 3%, 3% around that figure. That means you're doing well. Last year, the growth was 1.5. That's not good. That's stagflation.
True.
That's stagflation. So he needs you. He mentioned it once and he got it back very loudly from Jaishankar. After that, he's quiet.
Next one, please. Amulu wants to know, Namaskar, Major General Rajiv Sir and IRG, off topic. 18 nuclear engineers of Pakistan have been kidnapped by the TTP. What is the world going to do?
I've been shouting from the trees for the last 2 years that the Pak nuclear assets are the biggest global threat because they can fall in the hands of militants. You can call them by any name. People say, no, ISIS is different, Al-Qaeda is different, or TTP is different, so-and-so is different. They are all Islamic jihadis and they have only one purpose, to rule the world and have Sharia. Okay, like we say in the path of spirituality, there is one God and there are multiple routes. They talk in their terms that Sharia law is the one thing and there are multiple ways to reach there. Everybody is the same, and yes, it's a matter of big concern. Thank God only the engineers have been kidnapped and not the nuclear assets. I am worried more and more about the nuclear assets. That at some point in time, like what was done after the Soviet Union broke apart in Ukraine and also in Kazakhstan and many other countries, IAEA, we, US and other powers have to step in and neutralize his weapon. He's outlived his utility as far as the world is concerned. He already doesn't have control on KP and FATA. Baluchistan, his control is going. He's left only with his Punjab and Sindh, so he needs to get out of his nuclear. But will they do that? Because he is also a cat's paw to the highest bidder. I always call him the Airbnb on eBay. He's an Airbnb on eBay. He goes to the highest bidder. Initially, US he was with them. Then came the Chinese. He went with them. Now back to the US. That is the problem, that the others don't realize. Because a radiological...
Amalu, it is 16. So, sorry, sir, I thought you were done.
No, I'm just saying that it's not just the threat of a nuclear bomb. It's a radiological threat. A radiological threat does not need a bomb. Even a radioactive element taken out and placed somewhere gives radiation and destroys quite a lot. So that's the challenge.
Amaluji, it is 16 nuclear engineers. I'm just, not that it makes a difference, but it's a big number. Next one, please. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗧𝗧, thank you so much. Sorry to deviate. TBN, NAPS, Pakistan, and we just answered this one. Yes, it is true. We're going to be talking about this shortly. Dilip Chanchani wants to know, is Katl-e-Aam solution for Europe?
Okay. I'll just state two anecdotal things which I've discussed with, I won't take the names, certain Americans. I will, there's an article published in American Armed Forces Journal in 2006, written by Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. It was published in 2006. It's called Redrawing the Borders of the Middle East. The basic essence was that the borders drawn by the Sykes-Picot and what the Britishers drew doesn't show realism, and they had given a new set of borders. This he had written already in 98. And Ralph Peters' background is he's from the Republican Party. He was also involved in that Iran-Contra affair where they had to remove. And so he's joined the Republicans, and he has been part of Pax Americana and the New Americans Project for New American Century and all that. He's been a part of them. He had written this paper as far back as 98. Why do I say 98? I was our DA in Tajikistan, Dushanbe, 2003 to 2007. 2004 is when the DA of the US Embassy shared this with me. And the Americans wanted, though they are my input, what I thought about it. I went through it. My discussions with them in the embassy was that the borders that were drawn in the Middle East, a lot of blood has flowed through the centuries. You want to draw these borders, a lot of blood will flow. That was point one. Then I used to be called biannually to Europe for international seminar on global issues to discuss. And in one of the sub-themes I had discussed with the Americans that the State Department, DOD people and all used to attend. It was funded by the US, funded by NATO, European countries. So I'd informed them that what they have brought is a Shia crescent to the north of the Gulf and a Sunni arc to the south. And again, a lot of blood will flow. It won't stabilize so easily because if you link it to Ralph Peters. And at that time, I had questioned them about the rising militancy in Europe. And do they feel that they need to redraw the borders there? Said, if you look at Italy, if you look at Germany, Italy became Italy in the 19th century. Germany became Germany in the 19th century. Bismarck put all the principalities and kingdoms together. And similarly, Garibaldi and his red shirts brought all the kingdoms and principalities together.
For Italy, yeah.
For Italy. And Austria-Hungary split into Austria and Hungary. As a lot of blood has flown. They just smiled.
General Rajiv, there is a web series on Austria-Hungary Empire and those days when Garibaldi was trying to marshal people together to form Italy, and that's called The Empress.
Okay.
It's also very good, very compelling viewing.
It would have been Catherine the Great.
Yes.
The Austrian Empress. Okay. See, as far as the US is concerned, if you look at the globe, there is one massive world island. that is the Eurasia and the African landmass. They are connected together. That is one huge world island where bulk of the population, bulk of the resources reside. There are a few islands close by. The Americas are a distant outlying island. They are not linked to this. They also have resources and other things available with them. If the US has to control the globe, today, unfortunately, it is the military-industrial complex which is calling the shots. So for them, there has to be conflicts everywhere. So the weapons will send. So you find conflicts everywhere. You find conflict in Europe, you find conflict in West Asia. There are small wars which are going on in Africa. People still don't talk about it, like Sudan, which is going on between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Force, which is the paramilitary army. They are fighting against each other. Darfur, everybody has forgotten what happened, and it's still going on. Yemen battle is still going on. The wars are still going on. Houthis are very active. They were very keen to start a battle between us and China. They're not happy. They're pulled back. So, Katl-e-Aam to hoga, ab to hoga na. You brought in so many of these hardliners inside and to a plan. And 2015, there's a proper plan which was made out by George Soros. 1 million people to be brought in and no questions to be asked, and what all to be done and what to be given, even the amount, annual amount to be given to them. He has mentioned it in that.
This was in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that they just came into a plan. Why is it not happening in Eastern Europe? Because they shut shop. They said, nonsense, we are not going to follow. So the Eastern Europe doesn't have this problem. The Western Europe has the problem. And it will be interesting to learn why Western Europe. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. And Such Bol wants to know, sir, General Rajiv ji, आपके पीछे KPN स्कूल की ट्रॉफी है, मेरा पोता कह रहा है.
पढ़ लीजिए, Golden Jubilee 1974 batch. This is the Campion School badge, and this is Raja Bhoj. And this is our last year Golden Jubilee. We had met.
Nice.
Campion School, Bhopal. It has 3 franchises only. First in Bombay, then in Bhopal, and then in Trichy.
Thank you, Krishna Kishore. If US expands, why not India? POK, Sindhudesh, GB, Gilgit-Baltistan.
Okay. USA, the expansion he is looking at is geostrategically what is important to you. Is POK important to you? POK I divide into 2 parts, Gilgit-Baltistan and POJK. Is POJK important to you? Most of the hardliners are from there. All the militant attacks comes from there. You merge it, you will have a problem in Jammu province, because the Jammu province, the population of Hindus will go drastically down. No, I'm not interested in getting more hardliners inside. We have adequate inside. GB is strategically the most important for you. So that has got Shias and Ahmadiyas, and they're trying to bring in Sunnis. There's a standoff. If people don't know, the Shias have blocked the Karakoram highway now, I think the 6th day, because they're not getting proper electricity, despite the Chinese having made electricity projects out there, hydro projects out there. So they blocked all traffic. So you cut the link between China and Pakistan. That goes, and you get through the Wakhan corridor, you get a land link via Tajikistan into Central Asia. You have a sea link via 𝗏𝗏, you get a land link, direct land link via Wakhan corridor, and Afghanistan you're just now talking to them. Sindhudesh, do you want more Muslims? Let it be independent. Why do you want them to come under you? Why you're already struggling that the Muslim birth rate is much, much more than you. There are large places where there is a shift in population density towards Muslims. Why do you want to bring in more Muslims? I fail to understand. So you got to do a detailed strategic analysis. What is in your national interest today? I'm all for independence to the Sindhudesh. Let him be independent. Whatever help he wants, I will give him. I don't want him with me. Same with Balochistan. I don't want him with me. I don't want 𝗏𝗏𝗏 with me. He wants to keep it. Let him keep it. If it has to come to me, all the people have to evacuate and go, because over these so many decades, he has brought in retired Punjabi soldiers and placed them there. They are the ones who are supporting. We want them. I don't want them. So, GB.
Magnet Ranga wants to know, Namaskar, almost all areas of conflicts are waiting for Trump. Has Trump's focus shifted to the issues you just talked, or will he handle all the issues simultaneously? Can he?
Last point. That's why I said, can he? I'm looking at who after him. There are so many issues. He can't tackle all of them. He may start some things. It will not finish in his lifetime. It will not finish in the next person's first term unless he gets a second term.
Yeah.
Things in nations, when you're wanting to change, things don't, it's not an on-off switch. They don't change overnight. You got to change the whole narrative. So the narrative has to be built and then shifted, and you need services of Tavistock Institute also now for you to change the damn narrative. It doesn't happen. These people have had how many, 6, 7 decades to do this, and you expect in 4 years you will do it? We are 10 years and counting. Trump has no magic wand that he can do it in 4 years. That's why I said I'm looking at his next, and that chap should get at least 2 more terms. So you have 12 years, something. After almost 12 years, now we are saying 10, now 11th, 12th year, we are saying, yes, we are achieving something. So,
next one, please. Thought Provocateur wants to know, could the US be more preoccupied in the immediate neighborhood and unable to intervene in the world affairs?
Don't get carried away by that thought, sir. Like I said, the one country which has a global footprint and can do something anywhere is US. Just don't doubt that. Right? We are rising. Yes, we are a middle part rising. Others are also middle part. China thought he was a big dad. Just look at what has happened to him.
Rocket Force has gone missing. Manoj Soma wants to know, Iyer sir, you are looking a little young in blue, sir. Blue might not be the future, while red is future. Just cause of Trump, sir. Your views. Well, I'm an independent. I'm an independent. Thank you so much. And lastly, Meenakshi Raoji, thank you so much for your super sticker. And with this comes an end to what was a thoroughly enjoyable session. General Ravi Shankar, I'm so sorry, I'm so used to General Ravi Shankar. General Rajiv Narayanan will be back with us next Thursday, same time. That program is going to be in Hindi, but a totally different topic. Thank you once again, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.